Did
to
anyone
New
yo? Did
York
anybody
because
know there was
basically
an
the same
outdoor game
player.
tomorrow?
No, I did not.
No.
Wasn't it? Was there one today?
No, it's tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow. Okay, I knew it was happening soon. I thought it was today.
It's because
but
NHL marketing is so good.
it's
I didn't know about that
Mm.
shit until yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
All right, ready? Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gritcast. You know, I don't know what episode this is, but we're going with it. So, joining me today is the boy Jim or James at Butter434 on Twitter. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Nice. My other guest is at Vishaal Water on Twitter. Vishaal, hello.
Hello.
And then my other guest is at NHL Chunky on Twitter. Noted Paul Maurice fan. Brady, what's up, bro? What's up?
Just chilling, living in the world these days. Kind of sucks as a Jets fan, but it's what it is.
Yeah, but like they haven't been that bad.
Yeah, but like, it's just not fun. It's just not fun, and that's the thing that sucks about it. It's just not fun.
It's fun, but it's dumb.
It's fun, but it's, yeah.
But yeah, it's been about two some weeks since the last podcast where we talked about Tony DeAngelo and all that shit. And there is actually some more to that story, which I guess we'll delve into at some point. But first of all, I wanted to discuss the Leaf games over the past week. You know, it's been a wild ride for Leaf fans. Monday was an amazing loss, you know, quite spectacle. I'm sure as a Jets fan, Brady, you enjoyed seeing that happen. But yeah.
Oh, it was great. It
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Yeah, that must have been great for you. And then they won the game. I think it was 2-1 on Wednesday, and then they won 7-3 on Thursday. So I think we should, you know, go through each game, you know, relive the pain. So James, how were the Leafs this week to you?
I'd say very up and down, very inconsistent. Kind of going back to what they were last year. Like, you'd get one game, they'd be like a top team in the league, and then the next game they show up and it's like this is like Chicago or something, and they shit the bed.
Yeah, I can see that. You know, a lot of people were saying like, you know, the man, the myth, the legend, Wayne Simmons. You know, he's been having a large effect on the team, not producing as well since he's been gone. And honestly, you know, maybe there is some merit to that. I don't 100% agree to that. I guess Wayne Simmons is like a heart and soul kind of guy. You know, gets to the dirty areas. You know, y'all know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean. But I also think, you know, the second line hasn't been producing at all.
Yeah, I think the issue is, like James said, is consistency. Because, like, it goes back to a lot, like, starting off right, too. Like James said, in last year, I think we had a main issue where it was talked about how they didn't really start on time a lot of games. And this year, it started off okay where they were, like, dominating throughout most of the game. And then they kind of let it up in the third. But now they're kind of reverting back to previous attempts where they kind of start really slow in the first period. And now they're kind of going off in the second or third instead of playing it out through the whole 60, which is infuriating to watch as a fan, but gotta deal with it.
Yeah, I also like I think a lot of people have been focusing they're kind of forcing the blame, I guess I would say, on like second line with Nylander and Tavares, which to me personally is relatively warranted. I mean, you do have your Nylanderthals who will defend him at
Don't let that catch on, please.
defend him at any point, even when he's like playing bad. They're like, oh, look at all these beautiful analytic numbers, and I'm not here to sound like a dumbass and be a boomer, but like, you know, obviously he does that every game, but at some point, you know, we like to see it produce more, because a lot of the people say that's wrong with Nylander is sometimes he just looks like a passenger out there, and you know, sometimes I notice that too. And with Tavares, it just seems like he's not the same as, I mean, last year he had that big finger injury, which kind of deteriorated his play a lot, which was pretty noticeable, I thought too. And I don't know if that's carried over, because he did look good in the bubble, I thought.
I feel like the first couple of games of the season he looked really good, and then I don't know, he get like the grind of the season. I don't know, like he gets like he's a get in the dirty areas kind of guy, and he takes a lot of hits, right? So you don't know, you never know if he's dealing with something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I think your guy's boy Steve Dangle put it pretty nicely on his podcast where he said, specifically with Nylander less than Tavares, but like after last year and all the stuff that was happening, like they needed someone to blame after the Boston stuff, and Nylander kind of took a hit of that just because he's making the least amount of money, but he's making a significant amount of money compared to guys like Kerfoot or like Spezza or whatever. And I think the issue is that because of how hard people went at him last year, there were so many people uh, working just as hard, if not harder, to defend him. And now there's no middle ground where like you can criticize him and still love the dude. And like obviously, I think we're all in that position right now where we all love Nylander, but you know he hasn't been great over the past few games, especially against a weaker team, which is hard to watch. But it's like there's no in between where you can be like, yeah, he's all right, but he's not producing at his potential.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask is like I know Brady, you're from like an outside point of view. Like, what are your kind of thoughts on just the overall play and ethics towards all this?
Yeah, I haven't like watched crazy amounts of Leaf games recently, but like I of course catch what I can here and there. From what I'm seeing, it seems like it hasn't been as good. The second line hasn't been as good as the other lines. I mean, like the rest of the team, other than that though, I haven't had personally too much issue with. Like it's been really fun watching like Matthews and everyone on the top line play.
I'm sure you're enjoying Matthews, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like
I'm sure you are.
I mean, hey, yeah, fantasy league stuff, but no, he just looks like he's on easy mode. Like not to shift the topic away, but like
Yeah.
it's crazy watching him. He just looks so like uninterested, but in a I'm better than this. Like I don't need to try right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous right now. Like and as far as the whole like dynamic, the Jets fans versus Leafs fans with the whole Line A Matthews thing, like it's not even a conversation when you comes to that thing, because it's like they're different players, but one of them is this guy who is so dynamic around the ice all the time, Matthews that is, and like I don't know, I feel like Matthews is a threat anytime he has the puck, whereas with Line A there's things that you can do to necessarily impede his greatness, which is his shot. You know, you get in real close, you don't give him that room to get that shot off. Whereas like Matthews, you can't just do that because he'll just go around you. Like he's got multiple weapons, and it's just right now he's just playing with everyone. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I think that's actually like a good segue. Just to end that other segment real quick. Like I do think I think Tavares was shooting at like 3% at even strength was with his like a prime candidate for regression. Obviously, he's not going to do that the whole season. But we also saw Keefe put Kerfoot on that line, which also made it really look good. But you know, Matthews and Marner, as Brady said, they've been just world leaders. It's been pretty amazing to see. You know, it's garnished some Hart talk for Matthews. And I know everyone's like, oh, Leafs bias, like he doesn't really warrant that kind of attention. But honestly, I think he does.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he'll like obviously he like if he hits like 40 goals, dude, I don't know how you could not give him the heart. But I mean, I personally don't think he will end up winning, or probably should. Just friggin' Connor McDavid, man. Like you can't. If Connor McDavid might hit 100 points in a 56 game season, and that's like unreal to think about, regardless of how much defense he plays. Which actually this year he's actually playing pretty good defense at even strength, at least McDavid that
I
is.
saw that.
But like it's still crazy to think that he could have an almost like nearly 2 points a game pace and not win the Hart Trophy to me. But I definitely do think that Matthews should be getting some consideration, and even like maybe like a top 3 finish at least, probably.
Yeah, I think he should at least be a nominee.
He's got to be a top 5 lock at this point already.
I know it's sorry.
Go ahead,
sorry. No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, I know it's kind of dumb to think about, but like at the end of the day, I think it does come down to how the teams kind of play out. Like if Toronto keeps like, because you like regardless of all the issues that you guys have with how they're playing, they're still top of the league, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it all comes down to how many games you play.
Yeah.
Right now, but
still top. Yeah.
I think they lead in point percentage too. I'm not
Exactly.
mistaken.
Like they're like at the end of the day, like if Toronto stays top of the div and top of the league potentially, like it's pretty tough to argue against the Matthews thing. And I and as an outsider, I like to notice that Leaf fans like to throw the, oh, he won't get in the conversation just because he's a Leafs guy. It's like the anti-Leaf bias kind of thing, which is a fair thing to say. But I also think that at the end of the day, if Toronto actually has someone who deserves to be for sure top three, potentially top first, I think that it's going to happen. Like if Toronto keeps playing as they will, and Matthews is leading the league in points and goals, it's almost impossible
Yeah.
to take it away from him, in my opinion at least. But
Yeah,
hey, well,
I also because a lot of the common I guess narrative is that Leafs fans always hype up their players, make them seem better than they are. But I really truly do believe with Matthews, it's not. Like that's just how good he is.
he is he's great. Like as an
It's-
outsider, I can confirm your guys' thoughts.
Honestly, it'd be hard to argue 16 goals in his past 15 games.
Yeah, but
that he
everyone.
doesn't
Yeah,
deserve
but
to be in the conversation.
I just think the whole thing is, oh, he's playing against like Canadian bad teams. I'm like, bro, I mean, like when everyone
So,
discusses,
What do you want him to do?
like everyone discusses how
Dude.
Draisaitl and McDavid are like, oh, look how good they are. They're all, but no one's discussing, oh, they're all playing against like the Canadian teams. But with Matthews, it's always to bring it up because the Toronto media is hyping him up to make him look better than he is, even though he's the second best player in the league.
Something to take into consideration though is that yes, it's the Canadian division, and yes, probably the teams aren't that defensively sound. But like you've also got guys like Nate McKinnon, who Matthews has more goals than he has points right now, I think. And granted, Colorado's had games postponed and they've missed a couple, but I think he still has like 12 or 13 games played. And McKinnon's playing against teams like, or going to be at least like LA, San Jose, Anaheim. Like those aren't good teams. I'm
Arizona.
sorry, but yeah, even Arizona now, like those aren't good teams defensively either. Like I don't think the Canadian argument. I can see it having argument with the fans maybe, but I feel like in the voting, I don't think they'll really have a full impact on it.
Yeah, I think one thing Dom said is that I think McDavid will probably get the edge because Matthews is playing with Marner and McDavid's playing with like who Pugliarvi and like I can't like Josh Archibald.
Nuge.
I don't. Yeah,
No, he's playing
Nuge. Which I mean, Nuge is really good too, but
Nuge is
still,
severely underrated throughout the league, I think, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
he's really good. But like, yeah, I think sometimes Auston Matthews gets a lot of slander from people that aren't Leaf fans that really just think we're overhyping him, even though he scored like 47 goals last year in like 70 games, which is I don't know, I think that's pretty good. And like he scores a lot of goals. He's pretty good at that, and I don't think we're overhyping him. But talking about the Leafs, they did make a move I think on Monday. They traded for Alexander Galchenyuk. His seventh team, I think. Montreal, then to Arizona, I think, then to Pittsburgh, and then to Minnesota, and then wherever he was traded from Carolina, I don't remember. Ottawa to Carolina, and then Carolina to the Leafs. So I just want to get everyone's opinions on what do we think Alex Galchenyuk is, and how does he do anything for the Leafs roster?
I'll go first. So I think Keith mentioned it in his media availability, like right after the trade. He said that he thinks that he has some potential left, and they want to see if they can maybe get some of that 30-goal potential back. Like even if they can get him to be like a 15-goal scorer, I think they would be happy with that. And I think with Toronto and their utilities and their resources, that it's probably the best place to where he could probably get back to that. I don't know if he will, but it's probably the best place to help him maybe get to that point.
Yeah, I think it's sorry to bring this up, Brady, but I think it's another thing similar to the Nick Petan trade, where they're trying to they're trying to bring in a guy who they think they can see eventually being in the lineup and actually contributing, and I think the plan here is to maybe get him to work with I don't know the name of our skating coach. I just know him as
Barb Underhill.
Barb Underhill. That's the last. But just get him to work with the coaches and stuff and try and like see if it's a fit. then they sign him to like a cheaper deal for like another 2 years or something like that, similar to what they did with Patan and like Joey Anderson maybe. But I really don't see him playing a game this year. Even if we get like, let's say, even if we get like 3-4 injuries, like on like, I don't see him cracking the lineup. I mean, it's a possibility. You never know, because maybe they just want to see. Sure, let's see how he does in an NHL game. But I really think our roster depth forward wise is deep enough to the point that I don't see him starting a game for the Leafs this season. Probably.
I think he'll get a crack at some point.
Yeah.
I think he'll get in.
I'm not sure if he'll get in or not. Honestly, the way I see it is like, I personally I'm not too well versed on Korshkov and how good he is. I mostly just know.
He was probably gonna stay in the KHL his whole career, for being honest.
Yeah. So
he's
so
already 24.
At the end of the day, they trade him and like
Some
Warsawski or whatever.
AHL career D man.
That guy's
NHL.
like 31 or something. It's a relative.
Honestly, it's taking just two assets you have and putting them together to have a guy with some potential of something and something that they think that they can improve in him. And so, like, I don't see it as a bad trade. I think that that's what you have to do in this league in order to get your guys on your third lines, your fourth lines, who are able to, put up numbers and be a deep team, is getting these guys who have potential to do things. And like, again, I think he's a pretty depreciated asset here, but Leafs think that they can do something with him and eventually, might turn into something. Might be able to be a guy who can score some goals for you and play on your like second PP, and that's it, really.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I mean, he's not gonna be doing much defensively. But another thing that happened today was one thing, like, I feel like there's a lot of ethics missing in the NHL, because like I guess people don't really give a shit. Eric Comrie just keeps going around the league. He's been on the Jets 3 times in the past year.
Great guy, man.
At different instances. I don't know, Brady, if you have any information on that, like, what's going on there?
Well, they lost him as a waiver. They lost him on waivers when they put him onto the taxi squad, I think, or something. It involved waivers at the start of the season with him, and they lost him for free to I guess to New Jersey. And so that's not a big deal in the sense of the whole ethics thing, I guess is what you're saying, because I guess now it's kind of sucks for him. He has to come back and quarantine for 14 days, and hopefully he kept his place here, or else he's going to be in a hotel room for 14 days, which is going to suck.
Yeah.
I think by law you have to quarantine in a hotel room now.
Yeah,
though.
I don't know how
Yeah.
how it all works.
Remember.
I don't know how it works in Manitoba, but I know in Ontario that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so with him, honestly, he's just a guy that the Jets know. I think right now the Jets have a guy in the AHL who's starting, who I think they can see as potentially maybe becoming a backup one day. So I think that they're just trying to get him as many games as they can. That's Mikhail Burden. You might have seen clips of him on Twitter, like kicking the puck with his pad and doing crazy stuff because he's nuts. But I think mainly this is just a move to bring in a guy just to be on the taxi squad and be there in case you need someone. I think we grabbed Anton Forsberg or something like that
At some point. Yeah.
At some point. But I would imagine he's just backing up in the AHL right now, and I don't think that they would want to have him as their taxi squad goalie kind of thing. So I don't know. I think it's just bringing a guy in. It is kind of shitty to see him, get bounced around every couple months, but I guess that's just the business, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Forsberg's another guy who got moved around a bunch too, I think, right? Like he went from Edmonton to Carolina, I think, or something like that.
Wasn't he with Chicago at one point too? And
Yeah, he was he was a backup, but then I'm pretty sure they got him in like the Brandon Saw trade.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Just quick on Eric Comrie, a tweet from Chris Johnston. Eric Comrie has gone from Winnipeg to Arizona to Detroit to Winnipeg to New Jersey and then back to Winnipeg over the last 16 months.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Which is, I mean, I don't know what his situation is like in terms of like family.
He's
or,
still
like,
young too,
relationships.
isn't he? He's like 24.
I don't know.
Yeah,
like that probably
he's
hurts his development too. I don't even know what he is. Like, is he like a 3?
Yeah, he's mostly just like, he's a guy who maybe one day will be able to be a backup, like a serviceable backup. He's a guy who, in a pinch, you could have as a backup, I guess. I mean, I don't know how many games he's played in his entire career, but he's never been outstanding. He's never been Like he's just been kind of there. He's just been a body mostly, and I think that at this point he capped out at maybe being a backup one day, but I don't know if he'll be great.
I mean, I'm just checking his numbers right now. I mean,
Or AHL starter.
Yeah, on Detroit, we can scratch those out. He was an 864 in 3 games. Like, he hasn't really got much playing time in the NHL at all. It says here he only has 9 total games played. Started, I guess. I mean, in the AHL, he puts up okay numbers, like, well above 900. I guess he hasn't got enough consistent NHL playing time as, like, I guess in a backup role to really say what he is. Because 3 games in Detroit, posting 864 doesn't really do much for me. And 1 game in the NHL with the Jets, last year with an 821 also does nothing for me. But all the games he's played in the NHL, he's had a below 900 save percentage, but also a 9-game sample size. And with goalies, it's like, you got to give them a while to kind of find their bearings. And also, like, next year he could win the Vezina, and it'd be weird. It wouldn't be too weird.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, because that's just
I'd be
goalies.
surprised.
Okay, yeah, I probably wouldn't put much money on it, but...
oh, yeah.
Just talk a 5 on that. See what that comes in a year.
Yeah.
Parlaying for Eric Comrie to win the Vezina, along with the... Who you just get come out? The Jets to win the Cup next year. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll be making much money from that, but I don't know. I think one thing that's really notable to me from this whole situation it's just like it's more of like an ethics thing for me, and just as Brady said, it's the business. But a guy being bounced around the last 16 months, especially like this pandemic really kicked into high gear in March. He's just been going from team to team to team, which is probably really draining mentally and physically for him. And also, like, he's not really like is he really that much of a coveted asset where he just keeps going to different teams? I know the Jets probably claimed him because, like, I guess I don't know if they needed a third goalie or just some dude. And like he knows the systems, I guess he knows the players and everything. But I don't know, man. Like, at some point you have to be like, do we really gotta shuffling this dude around? Like, maybe just, I don't know, make him.
Maybe that's something he can find the like silver lining in for, though. Is like, if you're like, obviously it sucks like shit to be bounced around like this constantly, just mentally and physically too, I'd imagine. But like, it makes him, at least in the back of his head, he can think, okay, there's teams that want me.
Yeah.
At least at this point in my career, regardless of how well I've done up to this point, and I know I have the opportunity to prove it eventually.
And I think he is pretty young. He's born in '95, I'm pretty sure. So he'd be like 26 now, or 25. He's 25. So like, I wonder if, like, it depends. I think it purely just looks on how he looks at it. Because if he looks at it like, okay, I have this place in Winnipeg, and I know that Winnipeg likes me and they want to keep me in their organization, but things happen, waivers happen, and other people want him. You can maybe just go, okay, Winnipeg's my home. I've got my place here. Every now and then I've got to take a couple months to go here, to go there, to go here, which isn't a great way to necessarily isn't the best mindset. But if he has that mindset, it could just be like, oh, I'm just going to here for a placement for my job, and as soon as it's available, Winnipeg will bring me back.
I feel like he doesn't have that mindset. But, like, I don't know.
I doubt it. I doubt it. But I'm just saying. It purely looks. It purely.
I mean, maybe.
At the situation, you never know.
Yeah. Switching gears, I'm pretty sure Eric Comrie did play for the Coyotes at some point, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he did. So speaking of very nice segue by me here. Speaking of the Coyotes, so there was a very very good article that came out, written by Katie Strang. Very good article. Personally, don't have an Athletic subscription, but screenshots were in the surplus on the timeline, and I also listened to like a bunch of shit on it. So I think we should talk about this. Basically, the Coyotes are not a good franchise, everybody, and who is surprised?
It tends to be shocked face.
Pretty.
This has been a thing with them for years now. It's like, when something comes out on them every few months, it's like, okay, we already know this. They're a garbage organization. But they still manage to shock you at every time. That's how garbage of a franchise they are.
Yeah, and then nothing like. So okay, just to sum up like the gist of it. Most people that are listening have probably already heard what the article is about and everything that's happened. So basically, the Coyotes are like, Katie Strang wrote a very thorough and diligent article on how they operate and how they don't do it very well. And like there was this whole thing about how like Bill Armstrong was like, and the Morellos who own them were like, we're a family here, and then like, if you leak any information, you're gonna get terminated, and then like they're also questioning Katie Strang's journalism ability, which probably isn't the best idea. I know a bunch of big journalists in the NHL, just not even like related to the Athletic, just overall were in support of her, obviously, and it just makes the Coyotes worse. But they were litigating their employees. Apparently Morello was known to like berate his employees to an extreme. To the point of like crying and all that shit, which obviously isn't good for a workplace, and is mentally draining. And then just a bunch of other stuff like something about like not paying like their popcorn suppliers or some shit like that. Also like the whole thing that came out during like or after the playoffs, where they just didn't give out their signing bonuses, which is illegal by the collective bargaining agreement, and the NHL was like, whatever, we don't really give a shit. And along with that was drafting Mitchell Miller. But yeah, they just, not a good look.
It's beyond me why they're still a team in Arizona. I don't understand Gary Bettman and his will to keep them there when there's so many other towns and cities that would be so much better instantly from day one. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's so many things that, like any other organization, they would be gone by now, right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't understand it.
Yeah, and they're far from making the league money. So I'm I'm also very
I really
confused.
don't understand the reason to keep them in here. Like I apparently Bill Armstrong thought that someone hacked, like that Katie Strang hacked his computer. So he's honestly daydreaming. But yeah, just a terrible overall franchise. I don't really understand. Like as James said, there's been so many instances of this franchise just being bad. We also had the whole John Chaika, pre doing like the illegal workout training with prospects, and then they lost a bunch of draft picks, and then they used the draft picks they had on a guy who bullied and harassed disabled black child, which
Yeah,
is
not even like okay, it's like our last pick and no one's taking it and we'll see. We'll see if it goes. They fucking like their first pick they had because they didn't have their first three picks.
yeah.
I think some was taken. I think the second and third were taken away, and then the first was like in the Taylor Hall trade.
Yep.
So they didn't have a pick until like the fourth round, and they're like, yeah, let's pick this guy who they didn't have on a draft list. Like a bunch of teams had on a do not draft list, and they still went.
Yeah,
You know what?
they
Let's do
knew
it."
about this guy. They knew about this story.
Everyone knew.
Yeah, according to Katie too, like they of months earlier they had him. No, I wouldn't say months, but a month or two earlier they had him. They had themselves had him on a do not draft list for that reason, and something changed within the next few weeks or whatever that they're like they changed their minds. I don't know what happened, but
And then they
It
drafted
doesn't
him
make
anyway.
much sense.
Yeah, it's
Trash.
it's not a good look. Just keep hammering the fact that fucking this franchise does exist for no reason. They plus like they're not even that like I don't
dude, I
really
feel bad for Coyotes fans more than anything.
I really
man.
don't
Like,
get Gary Bettman's erection for them. To be honest with y'all, there's literally no reason to try and keep this franchise afloat.
It's his baby though. That's
Yeah.
like that was his project, was bringing hockey to the desert, and I don't know. I think he's got personal interest in it and a little personal pride in that. Yeah, he shouldn't obviously, but in just being able to say, oh, I brought brought the NHL to markets it has never been before, and blah blah blah, and all that stuff. I don't know. I just see him not backing down from that ever. Also, by the way, the town of Winnipeg does not claim that franchise, only their records from when they were in Winnipeg.
I mean, yeah.
I find that so weird how that works, man. Like,
It should
I
all
feel like
just be
franchise
Winnipeg.
records.
It should all just be Winnipeg Jets records.
Yeah, I feel like
I don't
like franchise records shouldn't convert like that. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't.
No,
make sense to me.
don't you think that Blake Wheeler was passing the franchise leader, Ilya Kovalchuk? You don't think that made sense?
No, I think it makes perfect sense.
I
Considering
think
all
the
the
Atlanta
other,
Thrashers as a franchise should not exist.
yeah,
Ever.
all the other
even
amazing
a Twitter
players
account.
that went through there. Another thing that came out of this
Yeah.
this whole thing was the Arizona Coyotes released a statement threatening to like sue the Athletic or something.
Yeah, they did.
Which was
Which
interesting.
it didn't really make sense.
I also think Katie Strang exposed them for a bunch of sexual harassment things, which is very, 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 very not good. And then they didn't mention the word sexual harassment in Arizona Coyote statement, which is nice. Basically, the Morelos, very shit owners. Another thing that I heard about was that Alex Morelos' son, Alex Morelos Jr., literally knows nothing about hockey. But, they put him in a hockey job anyway because that's what you want on your hockey team. That's just what you got to do.
Nothing says NHL like hiring someone's son who isn't qualified for the position.
Yeah, I really do think they really Paul fend this up pretty fast. There's a lot of pros to be made, and like I don't even know if you can change the ownership. Like, didn't they just acquire the team? Pretty recently, I think they did.
They were
it was
fairly
like
new.
4 or 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah, like it hasn't been
Something
that
like
long, and it's already gone to complete shit. There's been so many instances where they just haven't done the right thing, and just a bunch of bad stuff. But I do recommend checking out the article if you haven't. Obviously, I said before, I don't have no Athletic subscription, but if you do, I would give it a read because it is amazing journalism from Katie Strang, and it's like I don't know if it's better than that Roos article on Paul Fenton. I mean, maybe it is. I wouldn't put it. I don't know. They're on the same pedestal. So yeah, shout out to her for that.
Oh, read them both.
article.
How about that?
Yeah, yeah, read them both. But yeah, Arizona, you guys are a bunch of not good people. I don't think it's appropriate for you to just do that stuff. I wouldn't do it personally.
Simply do no bad and we'll be good.
Or just stuff that bad. But yeah, Arizona. Also, like, they suck. So like I don't see them. They hand out dumbass contracts to people. You trade for Phil Kessel, which isn't their fault. John Chaika was like his reverse Moneyball, as Jay Fresh called it. The analytics man trades for Phil Kessel, who hasn't been good in like half a decade, and then gives Clayton Keller.
To be fair though, they needed scoring. It's just Arizona. I don't know what it is, dude. They just offense literally dries up. It's no pun intended.
Except for Connor Garland.
Except
for Connor Garland.
Yeah.
Yep, he's just always scoring goals. But yeah, they handed out that 8-year extension to Clayton Keller, who all his metrics said he wasn't that great. But yeah, give him 8 years. I think they gave him $8 million too, or 7.1, something like that.
I think the issue is that I think for the first 2 years he was really good, and then not really good, but he was good enough.
He was amazing.
It was an overpay regardless,
yeah.
But they like extended him a year ahead of time before his contract actually expired.
Yeah.
Which was the main issue, and then that third year he just dipped off a cliff.
Yeah, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson sucks, so it's just tough for them.
Yeah, they're in some trouble.
Yeah.
As a hockey team.
Darcy Kemper's
They've been in trouble ever since they got there.
But Shane Doan, Shane Doan.
2012 though,
Shane.
Oh.
You really gotta, Shane Doan, inspired Auston Matthews, because Matthews is gonna go sign there when his contract is up. Because
we should thank them for existing though, because we wouldn't have Auston Matthews if it wasn't for them. So
I don't know, man. They're gonna pry Auston Matthews away from us because they can afford his $16 million signing bonuses when they can't give it to Tyler Steenbergen, which is like $300,000. But Auston Matthews, he's gonna leave the Leafs and go to his hometown of Arizona Coyotes. Get his number up in the Raptors there with Shane Doan.
Ryan Burke's got to, Nick.
Yes. Speaking of Brian Burke, thank you for the segue. I appreciate it. Brian Burke was hired by the Pittsburgh Penguins. This news is like a week and a half old, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. Because there's a lot to talk about with the Pittsburgh Penguins. If we're being honest, I feel like ever since they won the cups, there has been a lot with them. Just some interesting moves from that boy GMJR, and now you got Ron Hextall in there as the general manager, and Brian Burke as the president of Hockey Ops. So I want to know everyone's kind of take on that.
I think I don't know. I don't think it's gonna do anything for them. I think Burke, he's someone who likes to win now. He's not someone who likes to rebuild. So I just don't see. But I don't see how the Penguins core is still capable of winning a cup. So I don't really think it's a move that's going to do anything for them.
I would disagree, honestly. I think that the core, if I think you need to build around the core, and I think that that's what's been missing. Like, you need your guys like your Connor Shearys, your I guess Brian Russ has kind of stepped into that there. But I personally am a little more optimistic for the Pens. They just don't really have like fantastic goaltending or fantastic defense,
More good goaltending.
or even that great of depth anymore. So I think if they could acquire some depth, I think the core isn't an issue there. I think that you need more than just a core, obviously. But as for going back to the Burke stuff, like personally, I mean Hextall is I don't have any feelings about him as a GM. He's a GM in the league. He's done it before.
He's
Sure.
fine. Like,
He's fine.
He built that Philly team pretty well, I thought. They're
I
a well-built
would
team.
agree.
it took a long time though.
Yeah, but he's
I
really
agree.
patient, and that's why he got fired.
But
No?
you can't be patient with the Penguins, right?
No, I mean,
Like,
I
That's his own thing.
Crosby,
though.
Malkin, both 33 right now.
okay, yeah, I get that, but also like I think his mindset changes when instead of dealing with 19-year-old Carter Hart, you're dealing with 33-year-old Sidney Crosby, right? You're not gonna wait it out.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
I think that's situational. That's situational when you decide that. And as far as Burke goes, like honestly, in a hockey ops president of hockey ops position,
He's
I don't
fine.
hate that. I don't
He's fine,
mind
yeah.
that. Fine. It's honestly
They made it sound like he's gonna be able to make moves though. Like he's not just gonna be there to
I don't
move
think
out
he'll
with ownership.
be able to put pressure. I'm sure on to be like, yeah, this is what I think would
No,
happen.
we gotta get our guy, but going deeper into just the Penguins roster, like they also had a lot of injuries in the beginning of the season. Tristan Yari.
That's just the Penguins normal.
Yeah, Tristan Yari is not good, and it's not like Matt Murray was either. He's doing amazing in Ottawa, but yeah, I don't.
They could use Marc-Andre Fleury right now.
Marc-Andre Fleury's pretty good, isn't he?
Look, man, I know everyone wants to prey on the downfall of Sidney Crosby right now, because who wouldn't? He's been dominating the league for like 15 years, but honestly, I really think Hextall, like you guys said, patience with Hextall I think is key. Just based on the fact that the main thing is goaltending, but other than that, that roster isn't actually as bad as it looks on paper. Like when it's fully healthy, you've got like a great left side of like, for example, Dumoulin, Marcus Peterson, and like Pierre Olivier Joseph.
Who's looked great on that first pair with Letang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the funniest part is that the two guys who we thought would be like absolute garbage for them have actually been like, I wouldn't say good, but they haven't been bad.
CC and Matheson?
Yeah, like Matheson hasn't been that bad this year, and I dude, honestly, I might have to like do some research and see if friggin' the Toronto Maple Leafs have fixed Cody Ceci, because
I think they did.
don't know what it is, man.
I
Like
think they
he's
did.
not.
Really?
They legitimately did. I don't know what it is, but he's not the Cody Ceci of old anymore.
Some people were saying he's been like their most consistent, like positive impact defenseman. Like
close to it, yeah.
Yeah, he's been fine. Like
yeah,
I know a lot of,
I think they need to get healthy to make a proper run here, and I think they need a couple guys on the depth end to start scoring, because like I mean Malkin's lacking a bit behind now, and it shows that their depth isn't there. But other than that, man, when they're fully healthy, Pittsburgh's gonna be fine. I think for this year at least, and probably next year too.
I agree.
Yeah, I also think...
Are they a cup contender though?
No, I don't think so.
Dude, who knows, man? I think it really depends who their matchups are, because that could dictate the whole thing. Like, if their matchups like a team like Washington, I could see them easily beating Washington in the playoffs. The way Washington's playing this year.
I don't know.
Nah, man. I wouldn't take Washington, and again, not with the roster they've got there.
I can't
Carl
go.
Hagelin on the third left wing.
I can't go with Washington with. I mean, I can't go with Pittsburgh with their goaltending. I can't bet on that.
I mean,
It's just that
Washington's goaltending's not as steady either. Like,
I mean, Vanisek has been
Mhm.
good, and then Samsonov's coming back too. So
Vanisek's had like the least. Vanisek's like top 3 or bottom 3 in like expected saves above average or something like that. Like he's not been great.
I think
But
they've-
he's not supposed to be your starter though.
Yeah.
I agree.
They're
I
also,
just don't. You just don't know how Samson's gonna come back from COVID, right? Like he was out for
Yeah.
3 weeks.
I
Like
He's still
it-
out.
I don't.
And
I,
COVID is-
He's
I,
still
I
out.
think,
I
no,
thought.
I think
I
he's
thought he
coming
was on his
back.
way back
He was
now.
activated today.
That's why.
I think. He's activated today. That's why you traded him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I traded Vanacek.
One thing I wanted to, I don't know if like you said about the Caps roster, I don't think it's that bad. Like
It's not.
obviously, like,
but my
I don't
thing
think
is
it's
that
that bad.
Ovechkin.
I
I like
don't think they're
Yakov
that
Vrana. Tom Wilson is good. Kuznetsov is not good.
I'm just saying like fully healthy versus a Pittsburgh team. It would still be a tight series. It's not like it would be like 4-1 or something like that. But I just think Pittsburgh would end up on top.
I think that the Caps have better depth, don't they? Like don't they have like Sheary playing on the third line?
Yeah,
or
Sheary's
something
on
like
the third line.
that? Sheary's
I
not a bum either. He's
he's a good player in his own right if you think about it.
Elite player.
Elite
He's
player
not
in
a
his own
product
right.
of Sidney Crosby no more. He's a
No.
product of Lars Eller.
Yeah. I don't even know what Carl Hagelin anymore. I know he's is anymore. I think he's still fast.
It was just a name I threw out. I don't even know what their lines
I think he's still fast. I know Nick Dowd. He's center in that fourth line. He's elite. Love.
Nah, Washington's gonna lose purely because they let go of Travis Boyd. That's why.
That's true.
True.
That's
That's
true.
facts.
The PDO god Travis Boyd, the best fourth liner in the league. But yeah, I mean, another thing with Pittsburgh is like like they really just have to try to win, right? They have no prospects except like Samuel.
They
Poulin.
have to go all in.
Samuel Poulin, but they have nothing to trade anymore. What are they gonna trade? Their other first round pick again?
And they have no cap space either.
Yeah, I just think it's a shit show for them.
I just don't see it possible by the time how many more productive years does Crosby have? Like
5. I don't know. Crosby
I don't
seems
know.
like a guy who
I
could
don't know
play.
about 5.
Crosby seems like a guy who could play till like he's 42 and still be good.
Crosby. I mean, it depends what you define as productive. I guess.
Like point per game,
if you-
90 points.
Point per
Like
game. I would
Crosby
say
point per game,
Crosby point per game. I'd say maybe I could see that ending next season. Let
I
alone
think
like this
isn't he
season is
below
like a
point per game
walk.
right
I
now?
wouldn't count it.
2.
Yeah, but this season's like a weird
It's
season.
weird.
I wouldn't count it. But I think
2 or
next
3
year,
more.
like in a full 82 game season, is where you truly judge where Sidney Crosby is at, or where every player is in the league. Really.
I know Crosby was injured last year, but I also know when he did play, his impacts weren't as up to like what he usually is. But it's still like I don't know. It's just a thing where it's like Sidney Crosby,
Yeah, you kind of got to go for it if you still have him. And like, I feel like I could see in maybe a few years if some GM, if it's not Hextall, getting the cojones to go out and be like, all right, well, we're tearing it down and we're rebuilding. But I don't see that happening, honestly, and I think that they're just gonna run themselves into the
No,
ground.
they can't do it yet.
I think they're probably gonna Blackhawks themselves. For being
Hey,
real.
Problem.
It's
Yeah.
a good thing they signed Brandon Tanev for 6 years at 3.5.
Hey man, don't disrespect Brandon Tanev, bro. He's been pretty good.
He's been pretty decent actually this year, but still, that contract is brutal.
No, they had to trade Kessel.
Trade.
They had to trade Kessel to make room for Brandon Tanev. I did like them. Another thing with them was like they traded all their young pieces, like the Kapanen trade. They got rid of Hollander and a first round pick. In the Zucker trade, they trade, I think, what was it, another first and Kalen Addison. Like,
Oh my god,
Yep.
dude, Kalen Addison is
Kalen
gonna be so
Addison.
fucking good.
yeah. So
He made his debut the other day.
it's also
Yeah, he's gonna be unreal.
Jason
He's
Zucker's
top pair already.
yeah Jason Zucker's supposed to be better than he's playing right now. So like he's really good.
He hasn't been good since he's been there, right?
I don't think he's been amazing.
He's playing
Jason
with Gino.
Zucker,
Gino's bad.
Jason Zucker is what people think Pierre Engvall will end up as.
I don't know. He I think he scored.
I think that's high for
Yeah,
Engvall
he's not
personally.
Engvall's like a
Engvall's
fourth
never
liner.
gonna be a 30-goal guy.
Um,
No.
That's what I'm saying.
I think another thing with I think Kapanen's playing with Malkin. I do like.
Yeah.
I also feel like maybe they're just like they're. It feels like they're just not all producing like to par like all of them. Like even Jake Gensel and Sidney Crosby, and then like you have Malkin and Cap. I know Malkin and Crosby really haven't been as good as they usually are, and I know Malkin kind of fell off metrics wise last season, but I don't know. I tend to feel that at some time it'll pick up, but also like when you have really shit goaltending, it's really hard to do make any progress at all. And with Yari playing like complete poo, I don't know how good DeSmith has been, but I assume also not that good. I really don't see them doing much damage in a playoff scenario. But then again, as you said, it's Sidney Crosby.
True.
Yeah, never bet against it.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Although last 2 years, Sid hasn't been his team hasn't been the greatest.
Yeah, because the fraudulers, the fraud islanders.
The Islanders
They're in
swept
a good
them.
dip too.
The fraudulers.
The Islanders swept them, and then they lost to Montreal in the play-in.
I don't count. Last year's a wash. The only thing I count is whoever won the cup last year. I don't count judging off a player series last year.
Except the Leafs.
They shouldn't have had to play Montreal and Carey Price. That's the issue.
Guy Carey Price, and for some reason Nick Suzuki and Kotkaniemi were gods, in that series, and Murray wasn't good, and they were screw it, let's throw Yari in for Game 4 and see what he does. But yeah, we talked about Sidney Crosby, maybe Malkin being. I mean, Letang has been almost traded as for the past 5 years. It just seems like he's out. Letang is out the door. Same thing with Malkin, but they always stand. Well, I think what was it? GMGR. They confirmed that GMGR had a trade in the works for Letang.
I think I heard something like that.
I think that was disproved. It wasn't actually true.
I know we had a bunch of moves in the works, and then he resigned for reasons that we don't know. There's a bunch of speculation.
It was just personal. That's all we got.
A bunch of speculation towards that, but yeah, with trades, the Buffalo Sabres have been bad once again.
Shocker.
They signed
Couldn't
Taylor
have
Hall.
predicted that.
They signed Taylor Hall to a 1-year, $9 million deal. He has 1 goal, I think. I think Eichel also has 2 goals or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. They are not good, and the Eichel trade rumors were already pretty high up last season. And
I feel like it's an annual thing for the past 3 years. You just
it
trade
just
Eichel.
feels
I feel
like it's
they're
getting
amped
more
up
traction.
more this year.
It feels it's getting legit traction to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It does make sense. I know Buffalo's notoriously known for making bad trades, especially at the center position, when it comes to giving away guys. But you've got 6 years left on that contract, 5 after this short season. I just don't see it happening, man.
Unless you request something.
I don't see it happening, but I definitely see the momentum and the possibility of it going up for sure. That's definitely. I don't think it will happen.
Oh, I agree. I think in 2-3 years that could easily happen. When he's still got 3 years left on that deal, I could see that happening if Buffalo has no improvements whatsoever. I just think at the current moment, I don't see it. Especially in a season like this, there's no chance Eichel's going anywhere.
I agree.
I don't know. You signed Taylor Hall, and I guess. I don't know. The Buffalo.
Dude, apparently, Buffalo and Taylor Hall have mutual interest on a contract extension, which is wild to me.
I don't think
Taylor Hall
just
is
loves to lose. Apparently,
is Taylor
he
Hall.
loves to lose.
Guys, is Taylor Hall washed?
Nah.
I don't think he's washed.
Here's the
he's
issue.
not, he's not
he's
Hart Hall anymore.
He's definitely not Hart Hall, but
Was
he's
he
got
only
to the.
I feel like he was only Hart Hall for 1 season, then he had that knee injury. And he hasn't been the same.
Wasn't it
He's
2
got to the
years?
Jamie Benn point of his career where he's just
I was gonna say
he's playing well, but nothing's going in, and he's just kind of vibing on the ice. You know?
Still seems like you can be just a point per game player though, just with his skill. But yeah, I don't see the reason for him to stay in Buffalo. Also with the Eichel thing, I feel like it won't get anything real until he actually requests a trade. But in hockey, no superstars ever request a trade because you always got to be for the team, But another thing with Buffalo
I don't know. I think Eichel's different.
maybe. I mean,
Eichel will 100%
if they
request a
lose-
trade
if
make
they
a
he's
lose
move
voiced his
enough
frustration.
few
He's
years.
gone, bro.
He's voiced his frustration a bunch of times. It seems like, and
GM Eichel will trade himself.
I was gonna say GM Michael.
And Buffalo told Eichel to take a step, and this guy had an absolutely insane regular season last year, and they were still dog poo. And I think it's number one, as Vishaal said, they traded Ryan O'Reilly for a bunch of bags of pucks. They drafted Casey Middlestat, who they expect to be their second line center, also not very good. Their goalies are Carter Hutton and Linus Ullmark. Linus Ullmark, I think he's okay, but he's not a good NHL starter. Rasmus Dahlin, I think, has been better this season. Last year, he had a sophomore slump, but wasn't very good. And yeah, they just suck. I don't.
That's certainly one way to put it. But
Yeah,
isn't Rasmus Ristolainen like good this year?
I think so. I think he has.
Yeah,
He had
it's
good,
weird.
Yeah, he
weird.
had good impacts, but he's hurt.
It's so funny that if they traded him this offseason, not one person would have been like, yeah, Buffalo's losing that trade. But if he played like this on the other team, they would have been like, how did Buffalo lose a Rasmus Ristolainen trade?
Yeah, apparently him and Jake McCabe have been like a really good good pairing from what.
Which I don't understand, because Jake McCabe was like almost worse than
bad
Ristolainen
too,
was.
Like, and they still just suck. It's amazing. But you know, people also for Buffalo, it's always like, you know, when these prospects, when they get better, you know, a couple of years from now, they'll be good. But you know,
2 years away from being 2 years away.
Casey, yeah, Bruno, the boy Bruno Caboclo. You know, Casey Middlestat, he is not good. As I said, Tage Thompson, not good. They got who do they have? I'm just trying to think. Jack Quinn, they took over Marco Rossi, which is
So funny.
which is
Dude, the fact is that it's so funny because Jack Quinn's not even bad. It's just
Marco Rossi.
Like there were so many better players available at that spot. It's not that they took a bad player. It's just the gap between Jack Quinn and like even like Anton Lundell at that stage was ridiculous. Like
Jack Quinn's fine,
This
but like
is almost like this is a really bad comparison, but it's like taking Dylan Strome ahead of Connor McDavid because Dylan Strome played with Connor McDavid and was really good.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's basically, yeah. Honestly, that's kind of what it is.
and,
It's like, you know what it'd be like. Sorry,
to add in the Lundell thing, the fact that there's another good player available, even if you don't want to take Rossi,
There's
it's
so
like-
many
that's
other
like-
guys. Like what?
that's like taking Strome ahead of Marner. Like,
Dude, it's
Strome
like
ahead of Marner
reaching
was kind of warranted, I thought, but like that's another conversation.
at the time, yeah.
That's another
I,
conversation.
honestly,
Honestly,
I
not
think
now.
you should
I
always.
don't know.
I think it's dumb to take the guy who just played really well with Connor McDavid. Like, everyone knew Connor McDavid was like unreal. You can't take that into consideration when you're drafting Dylan Strome. Anyways, I'm not
I
gonna
mean,
get on
yeah,
that point.
it's like drafting Christian Dvorak because he played with Mitch Marner.
Hey
exactly.
man, Dvorak is actually a hashtag good player, but
Except
yeah,
he's actually been good this
I
year.
know people. Okay,
Dvorak.
here are some
Yeah,
players.
but he's nowhere near Marner's level, is what I'm saying.
Oh, obviously.
Here are some players that I think are probably better than Jack Quinn they took. Also, you had Marco Rossi to Minnesota right after, Cole Perfetti to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Askarov, Anton Lundell, and then Seth Jarvis. So I think all those guys are probably better players than Jack Quinn. But also, I'm not gonna stand here and talk about.
You forgot Rodion Amirov.
Yeah,
Come on.
I'm not gonna sit here and say I know everything about prospects because I don't. But from everything I've seen on Twitter, during the draft, I guess the World Juniors too. I mean, Jack Quinn did not look good during the World Juniors. Then again, it's a dumb sample size. We saw Casey
He scored a
Middlestat.
filthy shootout goal today, though.
We
So
saw.
if that counts for anything.
Casey Middlestat does that too. We saw Casey Middlestat, put on a show in the World Juniors, and he has been trash.
I mean, Jack Quinn is going to be a 50-goal scorer. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, just like Jeff Skinner, which is.
I feel like Middlestat would have been better if he wasn't stuck in Buffalo, you know?
I don't think so.
He got rushed. He got rushed before he was ready
I don't
to.
even know. Like,
Man,
a lot of smart draft prospects people didn't like him at all going into the draft
That's
anyway.
true.
So I really.
Manny Elk.
Yep. Also, it's also like the U.S. National Development Program. A lot of people don't really love because they just put all the good players on the same team. So
He's going to end up being like a Kerfoot, a guy who's just going to skate fast and kind of do stuff and be a okay 3C.
Yeah.
I feel like, but
Is Middlestat playing right now, or is he still in the AHL?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think anyone cares because he sucks.
He's probably on the taxi squad sitting there doing nothing because it's
Yeah.
Buffalo, and they're
I mean,
probably playing
he
Cody
does
Meekin
nothing.
over
He
him.
does nothing on the ice, so it doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, Casey
Buffalo-
Middlestat.
man, Buffalo could really use a guy like Ryan O'Reilly these days.
It's true. A nice second line center.
Dude,
that-
imagine if they had Eichel, O'Reilly, and Eric Stahl down the middle.
Pretty good.
I'd
That's not bad.
actually say, you know what? You might have a shot of finishing 5th instead of 6th this year.
I mean, maybe if they didn't, whenever you can give Jeff Skinner a $9 million deal, you just have to do it.
And then
right?
not play him with your best player, like, yeah.
Not
for
playing
sure,
with the
man.
guy that got him 40 goals. Like, what? That makes.
He was the thing is he was never worth that money. Even when he
No.
scored the 40 goals, because everyone knew he wasn't a 40 goal scorer.
Jeff Skinner's like a 25 goal scorer.
Dude, even
Just
if he was
a
getting 40
fraud.
goals like that, I didn't expect him to get $9 million. Like,
Nah, he's not. That's
dude, Taylor
insane.
Hall signed for less.
It's,
What?
they were just so desperate to keep him for some reason.
Because they didn't even trade anything for him. It was like Cliff Poo in a second.
Yeah.
I'm Cliff Boo, baby.
It was like, oh, we can't lose him. He scored 40 goals for us.
I have no
Well,
issue
we
with them
can't lose
re-signing him, but if you're re-signing him for that amount and then to misuse him, like,
Yeah.
immediately,
He's
like,
just stuck
without
on the
not
third
even
line.
not even like, oh, he's not working with Eichel, like, immediately just say, okay, we're splitting you up. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
How do you not step in as the GM and be like, you're playing this guy in the top
We
six?
gave
Are
him
you
$9 million.
insane?
Play him
They don't
with our
care,
best
man.
players.
They cared. All they did was care about the Bills the last year, and now apparently this year they're trying to focus on the
Or
Sabres
may-
more. But who
I don't
knows?
know. Maybe they're trying to get like Taylor Hall to re-sign by playing him with Eichel. Although if I was Taylor Hall, I wouldn't stay there. Cause
Dude, if I got like, if they paid him like $10 million for like 7 years,
I mean,
or something,
Darren Ferris could finesse them. He's done it before. He's a finesse
yeah,
guy.
dude. If you get enough money, I'd stay in Buffalo, and then you're like what
Finesse god.
36, and then you can just chase
I
cups
mean-
for the rest of that
I
after
mean,
you make
no.
enough money.
What I want to say is like Buffalo seems like, you know, with the Eichel trade rumors ramping up, you know, and the known frustration around like Bob McKenzie, like a couple months ago, had, like a 5-tweet thread on Jack Eichel and his feelings towards the whole thing, and a bunch of things came out
I
today.
remember
Like,
that.
like wouldn't Buffalo wanted like Hall is obviously like a reason for Eichel to not request a trade, right? So if you think about it, wouldn't like Buffalo be like, oh shit, we gotta keep Jack Eichel, so let's just hand Taylor Hall, you know, kind of a lot of money.
I don't know. It's such a tough position they're in now, just because of how badly their team is in now, just based on what they've got with what they've got. Like, I don't know, man. It's so tough that it's like I'd resign Taylor Hall, but also like
I mean-
it depends what he wants at this point, man. Like
I can't
he's
even,
slow.
like,
He's
think of, like-
declining. He's declining very slowly, but he is declining.
It's just that knee injury, I think. You know, ever since that, really.
I mean, yeah, and you can't really blame Taylor Hall for that, but
No.
like,
Of course not.
I can actually. I am going to blame Taylor Hall for that.
Yeah, you should have just.
yeah, you know what,
just,
Taylor?
you know,
Fuck you. It's
should have
your
just
fault.
played through it like a real hockey player would. You know, like
Gregory Campbell would tell you to fuck off, Taylor.
Yeah,
Hall.
yeah, Gregory. Yeah, you know, Taylor Hall can't even tie Gregory Campbell's skates, bro. That's just Taylor. You know, Taylor
Campbell
Hall.
can't tie Gregory Campbell's skates anymore.
If I
Wow.
were Taylor Hall, I would simply not injure my legs and also pass my boating test.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
But yeah, you know,
But alas, I'm not.
you know what, guys? That actually, hold on. Just before, I think we should also talk about this. And now I'm just coming back. Two things. You know, as we talk about media and articles and all that shit. You know, Larry Brooks, you know, took it upon himself to let Tony DeAngelo bare his soul. You know, because he didn't say a racial slur. He said an ethical slur. You know, so he's fine. He's not racist, guys. He's fine. He's never done anything bad in his life. He's bearing his soul. You gotta feel bad for him. Because I don't.
Everyone
Every
deserves
time-
a second chance, bro.
Every time someone says, "Oh, he didn't say a slur" or something like that, I always remember that video of his dad saying,
Yeah.
"We
said in the
say
house."
these slurs in our house all the time," and I'm just like, dude, like, I'm sure
His entire
Tony D
family
was
is
raised
taught.
that. I'm sure he was raised that way, and like, cool, you're raised that way, but also at a certain point, he's like what, 24 now, 23, like he's
Something like that.
he's old enough to the point to be like, okay, he's old enough to know what's right and what's wrong, and be like, okay, this is not right, this is not wrong. It's nothing to do with political views either. Like it's
But you
it's-
learn that in like
it's what
high
he's
school.
doing.
But that's
Yeah,
the
okay.
thing.
Or just
I
life.
still-
You
I
just
still
learn it.
don't
It's
blame him
easier.
either. But
But
like,
it's easier for him to go, oh, it's all these lib cucks on Twitter getting mad at me,"
Exactly,
instead of actually taking the onus of being like, oh yeah, I am a shitty person and
But
I
he's rich.
just need to be better.
He's
So
rich.
it's-
He's rich and he grew up like that, right? So, what should he? You know, he doesn't comprehend in his brain that hey, maybe I shouldn't be a dickhole, because
I know, like, I know everyone's got different situations, but dude, you're a millionaire now. Fuck your racist ass family, dude. Fuck them. Like, fucking be your own person, man.
I
Like,
don't think,
grow up.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna do.
He's
that.
at the age now where that's just who he is. Like
Yeah,
that's his personality.
it does seem like he's gonna have a very nice career in the KHL next season. So good for him.
Which is so bad for that. Like I guess Russia doesn't care, but
No,
like
no,
that's
they
just
don't.
so.
Slava Voinov
so
is still
bad,
playing there. Like what? They obviously don't give a shit.
It's brutal, man.
Brandon Leipzig is chilling there.
Yeah,
You know, they could form an ultimate trio of just assholes. Would be nice.
The issue is that these guys are too good not to play, you know. But
Yeah.
like someone like Slava Voinov was not good.
He was even Brandon Leipzig was like a fourth liner. Like what the fuck?
I mean, yeah, but he's still an NHL player compared to a KHL player, right?
Yeah,
But-
I guess so. It's
Slava Voinov was never good.
yeah.
Like-
Tony DeAngelo's gonna really enjoy his time in the KHL because any NHL team that acquires him will get destroyed. On Twitter, on social media, and
Well, without him having receipts, I don't think he's ever gonna be back in the NHL,
We also-
especially after this. Because apparently it's him causing shit in the locker room too. It's not just like
he's been an asshole since
half
fucking
off.
playing in Sarnia. Like he's never been
Oh.
good.
Who knows though? He might end up on the Coyotes in a year and a half.
Oh, that's
Like
true.
that's.
I mean, wasn't he already
He was
there?
already there, bro.
He was already there.
That's where he started.
Didn't
You
he
know
come, what was that? The
You'd
Yandel
like
trade or something?
Something like
so
that.
Tampa drafted him.
Yeah.
Then he got traded to Arizona,
Right.
and then he got traded from Arizona to the
New York.
Rangers.
Yeah. In the Duclair.
I remember he asked for
Yeah.
a trade request from Arizona because he wasn't happy with them.
Well, because they
I
weren't
mean-
playing him.
I mean, it seems like the perfect place for him, all considering everything we know now.
Yeah,
Yeah. They were-
Arizona, perfect team for him.
We were wrong about you. They-
Please
You-
come back.
You fit our
We have
values.
Nicholas Chalmerson as our first line defenseman, please.
You know the problem is
Suits their
Tony.
culture.
The problem is Tony DeAngelo's good. Like he's a good player, but he's just
Well,
One of the-
offensively.
one of the
What's
worst
the
humans
point?
in the world. One of the worst humans in the world. It's just unfortunate.
He's not worth it.
No, he's really not. Plus, you know,
Dude, and before he was being this asshole like on Twitter constantly, like he was fun to watch. Like you'd go to Rangers games and say, "Oh no, I want to go see Capo Caco play. I want to go watch Tony DeAngelo play, Zibanejad, Panarin, etc., etc." Now it's just like I don't want to ever be associated with this.
I mean,
dude.
anybody
Like, get him out of
with,
the league.
anybody with morals and values doesn't want to see him play. So
You're right. I
Yeah.
do want to see Tony DeAngelo play and get absolutely walked by players.
by Aho, oh my God, bro! Like,
God,
send him into oblivion, which is very very nice of you, Sebastian Aho. You know he's a king. But yeah, I think that just wraps up the Gritcast for today. You know, I just want to say thank you to James for coming on. Thanks, James. You know,
Yes, sir.
thanks to Vishaal for coming on with me today. Thank you. You know, I appreciate it.
Anytime.
And then thank you to you guys for listening. All right, so that about wraps up the podcast for today. You know, Brady was here too. But yeah.
I was gonna say.
Oh,
I was
You
gonna say,
should-
fuck
Alright,
Brady.
cool, man. I'll go fuck myself. Thanks.
All right, but yeah, guys. Thank you all for tuning in this week. Look for Brady on Twitter at NHL Chunky. Look for James on Twitter at Butter434. Look at Vishaal on Twitter at Vishaal. Look at me on Twitter at Nick LaFlame. You can see all our stupid fucking tweets there. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. You know, if you liked it, you know, maybe give us a cool rating on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hope everyone has a great day. Fuck the Coyotes. Fuck Tony DeAngelo. And you know, drink some water because water is the best drink.
I
Elite.
love Nick Patan.
Me too, man.
All right, goodbye everyone.